Join us as we explore the invisible energy system running just beneath your skin.
Mapping the vital streams that bridge our physical bodies with the deeper planes of life.
I'm Elliot.
And I'm Nadia.
Welcome to the Etheric Double by Arthur E. Powell.
People who have sat with someone at the very end often say a version of the same thing. That there was a moment, and you couldn't always name the exact second of it, when the room changed. One moment there were two of you there, and then the room was different. Quieter in a way that had nothing to do with sound. And what was left on the bed was somehow no longer the person. Beloved still, but more like something the person had been wearing.
Something they'd set down.
Something they'd set down. And every culture on earth has noticed that change and built words around it. Passed, departed, left us. And today's chapter is this book's account of what actually happens in that moment. What leaves, where it goes, what it takes with it, and what it sets down. This is episode 6, one chapter today, chapter 16, Death. And I want to say to anyone who's carrying a loss right now, or who just finds this subject heavy, I understand if you hovered over the skip button on this one. Please don't. This is the gentlest chapter in the whole book. We've been careful with it, and the picture it offers is, I promise, a consoling one.
It's the counterpart of last episode in every way. Last time, how a body is built and entered. This time, how it's finished with and set down. And the book comes at it as ever through the mechanism. So let me start with a piece of anatomy we've half met before. The double, remember, can be partly separated from the dense body during life. Anesthetics do it, mesmerism can do it, weakness and trance can do it. But in all those cases, the double stays connected. There's a cord of etheric matter joining it to the dense body, however far it drifts, a tether. As long as that cord is whole, the person can come back.
Which is why all those states end in waking up.
Right, and so the book's definition of death is almost geometrical in its simplicity. Death is when the double withdraws for the last time and the cord is broken. That's it. That's the whole boundary.
And now describe the withdrawing, because this is where the chapter becomes something people have reported at bedsides for as long as there have been bedsides.
So at death, the double finally withdraws from the dense body. And to clairvoyant sight, it's visible. It rises off the body as a violet mist. Slowly, gradually, this haze of violet light gathering above the person. And then the mist condenses. It draws itself together into a figure. And the figure is the exact counterpart of the person lying there. Their face, their form, rendered in that fine matter. And for a while, the figure and the body remain joined by a single thread. The book calls it a glistening thread.
A glistening thread.
And then at the moment of death, the actual moment, that thread, the magnetic cord, snaps. And the connection that began before birth, the one the little builder first spun, is ended.
And people will recognize that thread. It's the silver cord. It's in traditions all over the world, and it's in scripture. There's that verse in Ecclesiastes. Remember him before the silver cord is loosed and the golden bowl is broken. Mystics and grandmothers have been describing that image forever. This bright cord that holds until it doesn't. And here it is in Powell, drawn like an engineering detail. A violet mist, a figure, a bright thread, and then the thread lets go. What strikes me every time is how unviolent it is. Nothing is torn or destroyed. Something rises, gathers itself, and is released. It's a boat slipping its last mooring line.
And here's the part I actually find the most moving in the whole chapter. And it's the most technical part, which probably says something about me. The question of what exactly leaves. Because the book traces it, step by step, like a departure with a manifest. Do you remember from episode 1, the life web? The golden web, one thread of Buddhic matter that the whole body is woven within?
The golden net that came before the body. And the permanent atom from last episode, the seed record in the heart, the soul's sample of itself.
Both of them, this is their chapter. At death, the life web, together with the prana, disentangles itself from the dense matter. All that golden thread, gathering itself out of every cell it held together. And it draws together in the heart, around the permanent atom. Everything essential collecting at one point, around the one particle that has been there through every life. And then it rises, up along a channel in the spine, the secondary sushumna nadi, into the brain, and up and out through the top of the head.
Out through the crown, the gate at the top of the ladder we climbed in episode 3. So the last thing the vitality system ever does is one final journey up its own main road.
And the web doesn't dissolve. That's the point of the manifest. It stays, enshrouding the permanent atom, kept safe in the causal body, the soul's deepest vehicle. Held there, the book says, until the time comes for a new physical body to be built. And then, as we learned last time, it's that very atom the next builder reads.
So nothing essential is lost. Let that sit still for a second, because it's the sentence under the whole chapter. The gold is gathered, wound in around the record of everything you've been and carried. Not scattered, not burnt off, not left behind. Carried forward to be the seed of whatever comes next. The book's picture of death is a harvest, not a fire.
And meanwhile, the body, and here the book says something that sounds like a riddle and turns out to be precise. Once the double and the prana withdraw, the body loses its unity. Remember the very first thing we ever said about prana, episode 1. It's the integrating energy, the thing that makes trillions of cells one creature instead of a heap. So when it's withdrawn, the body becomes again what it always potentially was, a collection of independent cells.
Each one still alive.
Each one still alive. That's the riddle. The individual lives of the cells carry on for a while, which is why, the book notes, hair can seem to keep growing on a body after death. And then Powell writes the line that stopped me cold the first time I read it. The body is never more alive than when it is dead. Alive in its units, dead in its totality. Alive as a crowd, dead as a person. And he quotes the old occultist Eliphas Levi. The corpse would not decompose if it were dead. All the molecules that compose it are living and struggle to separate.
It's strange how comforting that is, when it could so easily be macabre. What we call decay, the thing we recoil from, is just the crowd dispersing. The concert's over, the orchestra goes home. Every cell that was held in the shape of you goes back to being its own small life. Nothing about it is sinister. It's release, happening at the smallest scale there is.
And the double itself, the violet figure, it doesn't go far. The book says that once it's free, it usually floats above the body, near it. And in this state, it has a name we planted all the way back in episode 1 and promised we'd return to. It's the Wraith.
The churchyard ghost. 6 episodes later, here it is. So tell me exactly what it is, because I think this is where the book quietly dissolves about half of humanity's fear of the dead.
So the Wraith is the etheric double, separated from the dense body, with the soul in the process of moving on out of it. And the book's description is this: a cloudy figure, very dully conscious, if you can call it conscious at all, speechless, and, unless it's disturbed, in a state the book describes as dreamy and peaceful. Sometimes it appears to people the person was closely bound up with, as that misty shape. As the days pass, the higher principles disengage from it entirely, and then the double is just an etheric shell, an etheric corpse, staying near the dense one, the two of them dissolving together. Which is why sensitives report seeing violet or bluish-white mists in churchyards. That's what those are in this book's account. Not souls, not anyone. Shells, softly coming apart.
So the ghost in the churchyard, the classic one, the misty figure over a grave, was never a trapped person. It was never anybody suffering. It's closer to a coat, still holding the shape of the person who wore it, slowly becoming mist. Every one of those stories, and the book just gently reclassifies them. Nothing haunted, something finishing.
And notice the one detail in the description that touches the grieving directly. The wraith sometimes appears, the book says, to those with whom the person was closely bound up.
Which is the experience so many bereaved people quietly carry and rarely say out loud, because they're afraid of how it sounds. I saw her those first few days, at the foot of the bed, in the doorway, just for a second, and the world tells them, that's grief playing tricks. And this book says, softly, maybe not a trick. In those first days, the form is really there, still near, still shaped like them, dreaming and at peace, and it drifts to the people it was most bound to. Not a haunting, more like the last warmth of them, passing the window on its way.
And there's one practical, humane detail hiding in the description, which you spotted before I did.
The word unless. The wraith is dreamy and peaceful, unless disturbed, and what the book names as the disturbance is tumultuous distress, violent emotion around the body. And think about what humanity has always done around its dead in almost every tradition. We lower our voices. We keep vigil quietly. We sit with the body in calm. We pray or chant in these low, steady tones. We save the loud grief for later, away. Every tradition seems to have known, in its bones, that the newly dead are in a tender, dreaming state, and that our storm reaches them. So the old customs turn out to be instructions. Be gentle in that room. Let them dream their way out.
And the book adds one small kindness on the practical side, which will touch and let go. It's part of why so many traditions cremate, not for any grim reason, but because the fire releases the etheric shell all at once, the whole letting go, finished in an hour instead of unwinding over weeks. The wraith fades either way. Nothing is trapped either way. Cremation just makes the last dissolving quick and clean. The traditions that burn their dead, the book suggests, were being practical about the finer body long before anyone wrote it down.
My family's tradition, and it was always spoken of exactly that way, as a freeing. Okay, now the heart of the chapter, because everything so far has been the mechanics of leaving. And in the middle of it, the book describes what the person themselves is experiencing while the withdrawal happens. And it's the part everyone has heard rumors of.
The review. During the withdrawal of the double, and for a while after, the whole of the person's past life passes swiftly in review before the soul. And the book's language here deserves to be quoted nearly exactly because it's extraordinary. Every forgotten nook and corner of the memory yields up its secrets, picture by picture, event by event. In those few seconds, the person lives their whole life over again.
Everything.
Everything. The successes and the failures, the book says. The loves and the hatreds. All of it, seen at once, whole, by the one who lived it. And then something rises out of the seeing. The predominant tendency of the whole life, the ruling thought, asserts itself. The theme that was underneath everything, the thing the life was actually about, stands up out of all those pictures and declares itself. And that ruling thought, the book says, marks the region where the person's life after death will chiefly be spent. The life sums itself, and the sum becomes the direction.
Can we just sit in that for a moment? Because I've been carrying this passage around all week. Your whole life keeps everything. Every forgotten afternoon, every kindness you did without noticing, every corner you thought was lost. It's all held, and at the end, it's all given back to you, once, whole, not judged from outside, seen. You are, for a few seconds, the only audience of the entire film of your life. And then the film answers the question we spend all our lives half asking. What was it actually about? Not what did I say it was about. What was the ruling thread really? And whatever that thread is, that's what carries you onward, which means the review isn't a trial. It's the truth of you gathering itself.
And the book reaches for the oldest possible authority to close it, the Kaushitaki Upanishad. At death, prana gathers everything together, and withdrawing from the body, hands everything onward to the knower, the receptacle of all. Prana, the force we've followed for 6 episodes, doing its final work, the gatherer, gathering one last time and handing the whole harvest on.
Everything gathered, everything handed on, nothing dropped.
And there's a quiet implication in the review that faces backward into life. And I don't want to preach it, just point at it. The ruling thought of the life, the thread that stands up at the end and sets the direction. That thread isn't written in the last 5 minutes. It's being written now. Every ordinary week is a few more lines of whatever the life is actually about.
And as for the review, that's not really something you can argue with. That's the part that reorders you a little. It won't show you the life you meant to have, or the one you'd talk about at a dinner party. It shows the one you actually wove, thread by thread, afternoon by afternoon. And it's not a frightening thought, or it doesn't have to be. It just makes today matter in a very calm, specific way. The loom is running. It's always been running.
And then, the book says, there's usually a brief period of peaceful unconsciousness, the atomic web's last kindness, that quiet blackout we learned about 2 episodes ago, while the person shakes free of the etheric envelope entirely. Some are free of it in moments, most within a few hours. And then they're through, clear of the etheric altogether, on into what comes next, which belongs to another body and, truthfully, another book.
So let me try to say back what this chapter actually teaches, because I think for some listeners, this is the episode that matters most. Death, in this book's account, is not an ending, and it is certainly not a horror. It's a withdrawal and a carrying forward. The mist rises and takes shape. The thread shines and is loosed. The gold gathers around everything you've ever been and climbs the ladder and is kept. The body is released back into its trillion small lives. The shell dreams itself away in peace, and the person, the essential person, is gathered up whole, seen truly once, and carried on. If you've lost someone, this is the picture the book offers you. They weren't extinguished, they were harvested. And if it's your own death you quietly fear, as most of us do, the book's word for what awaits the leaving is one nobody expects. Peaceful.
The body was only ever the dense end of something finer. We've spent 6 episodes learning how much of a person was always invisible. It shouldn't surprise us that the invisible part is the part that keeps.
Sit with this one as long as you need to, and when you're ready, the series turns. And it turns beautifully, because after birth and death, the book comes back to the living, and to what we can actually do for each other. Next episode is the healing chapter. The healer's hands, how one person's vitality can be given deliberately to another. If you're a pranic healer or any kind of energy worker, or you've just ever laid a hand on someone's shoulder and wished you could do more, next episode was written for you.
From what leaves us to what we can give. And if this show is becoming a companion for you, it's part of a family of shows at Pillar 5 Media, different hosts and different books, all trying to make the deep things feel like a conversation with a friend.
You'll find them all at pillar5media.com.
Pillar, then the number 5 as a numeral, media.com.
Thank you for trusting us with this one. Go easy today. Be gentle with the people who are grieving and with yourself.
And if you pass an old churchyard this week, you can walk through it a little more kindly. Nothing there but mist finishing its work. Take care. We'll see you next time.